Hello, dear listener. Welcome. As the day begins to gently fade, and the quiet stillness of night softly settles around you, let us embark together on a tranquil journey. A journey not through distant lands, but into the very heart of what it means to be, to perceive, to experience. Tonight, we will drift into the profound, yet often elusive, realm of consciousness. Allow your body to relax, sinking deeply into the comfort of your surroundings. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath, a soft, steady anchor in the present moment. And as your mind begins to quiet, let's explore this magnificent mystery that is so intimately woven into the fabric of our existence. Consciousness, at its most fundamental, is simply being aware. It is the subtle, yet powerful, light that illuminates your inner world, the landscape of your thoughts, your emotions, your private imaginings. It is also the keen awareness of the world around you, the soft glow of a lamp, the gentle hum of the refrigerator, the distant rustle of leaves in the night breeze. It is this duality, this capacity for both introspection and outward perception, that begins to hint at its vast complexity. For millennia, this intricate phenomenon has captivated the greatest minds. Philosophers have pondered it from their silent studies, scientists have sought its secrets in the intricate dance of neurons, and theologians have attributed to it a divine spark. Across cultures and centuries, it has been a topic of extensive explanations, analyses, and endless debate. Yet, despite this monumental intellectual endeavor, we find ourselves, even today, in a gentle state of no complete consensus. We don't entirely agree on what precisely needs to be studied, or even if this shimmering concept can truly be contained and measured within the strict boundaries of scientific inquiry. Sometimes, in certain explanations, consciousness is spoken of as if it were synonymous with the very mind itself. As if to be conscious is to have a mind. In other perspectives, it is seen as a crucial, perhaps the most profound, aspect of the mind, a particular function or quality that the mind possesses. Imagine the mind as a vast ocean, and consciousness as the illuminated surface, reflecting the sky above and revealing the currents below. It is a subtle distinction, yet one that speaks to the nuanced ways we try to grasp this essence of being. In earlier times, when thinkers looked within, consciousness often meant one's inner life. It was the private theater of introspection, where silent thoughts unfolded, where imagination painted vivid scenes, and where the subtle will to act, or not to act, resided. It was a deeply personal, internal world, accessible only to the individual experiencing it. Picture yourself now, in this quiet moment, observing your own inner life, the soft whisper of thoughts, the fleeting images, the gentle ebb and flow of your feelings. This private realm, once the sole domain of consciousness, has expanded over time. Today, our understanding has broadened considerably. Consciousness often encompasses any kind of cognition, the process of thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem-solving. It includes every experience, from the vividness of a dream to the taste of a morning cup of tea. It embraces every feeling, from the warmth of contentment to the soft pang of melancholy. And it involves every perception, the way your senses gather information from the world and present it to your awareness. It might be simple awareness, a clear perception of something. Or it might be awareness of awareness, a deeper state known as metacognition, where you are conscious of your own thoughts, observing them as they arise and pass. This highest form often leads to self-awareness, the profound realization of oneself as a distinct entity, an I, in the vast expanse of existence. This awareness can be continuously changing, like the shifting patterns of clouds in the sky, or it can feel like a steady, enduring presence, a constant backdrop to the flux of life. Even in the practical world of medicine, consciousness holds a vital definition, helping, for instance, to discern the deep stillness of a coma from other, less profound, states of altered awareness. The sheer, disparate range of research, notions, and speculations surrounding consciousness naturally raises a quiet curiosity: are we even asking the right questions? Perhaps the very questions we pose are shaped by our own conscious limitations, like trying to grasp water with an open hand. Consider for a moment the diverse ways we attempt to describe this phenomenon. Some see it as an ordered distinction between the self and the environment, a clear boundary that allows us to differentiate me from not me. Others define it simply as wakefulness, the opposite of sleep, a state of alertness. For some, it is deeply intertwined with one's sense of selfhood or even the soul, explored through the timeless practice of looking within, a journey into the internal landscape. It has been described as a metaphorical stream of contents, a continuous flow of experiences, thoughts, and feelings. Or perhaps, more concretely, it is seen as a specific mental state, a mental event, or a complex mental process emerging from the intricate workings of the brain. Each description offers a glimpse, a facet of this shimmering gem, yet none seems to capture its entirety. Now, let's gently turn our attention to the fascinating journey of the very words we use to speak of this mystery. The terms conscious and consciousness in the English language are relatively recent, dating back to the 17th century. The first recorded use of conscious as a simple adjective was applied quite poetically and figuratively to inanimate objects, such as the conscious groves, in 1643, imbuing nature with a sense of knowing. Our modern word conscious has its roots in the Latin conscious. Break it down, con means together, and scio means to know. So, conscious literally meant knowing with, or having joint or common knowledge with another. Imagine sharing a secret with a trusted friend, you are conscious of that secret together. The great philosopher Thomas Hobbes, in his seminal work Leviathan in 1651, echoed this very idea, writing, "Where two, or more men, know of one and the same fact, they are said to be conscious of it one to another." It was about shared awareness, a collective understanding. But there was another intriguing phrase in Latin writings, conscius sibi. This translates quite literally as, knowing with oneself. Or, to put it another way, sharing knowledge with oneself about something. This phrase carries the figurative sense of, knowing that one knows. It's a stepping stone, a profound precursor to our modern English word, conscious. It was often rendered into English as, conscious to oneself or, conscious unto oneself. For example, Archbishop Usher, in 1613, wrote with humility of, being so conscious unto myself of my great weakness. This shows an internal, self-referential awareness, a recognition of one's own state, a subtle introspection. The related Latin term conscientia, also literally, knowledge with, first made its appearance in Roman juridical texts, in the writings of figures like Cicero. Here, it carried a specific moral weight. It meant a kind of shared knowledge that held moral value, particularly what a witness knew of someone else's deeds, knowledge coupled with a sense of right and wrong, of duty or guilt. It was during the transformative period of the 17th century that a significant shift began to occur. While René Descartes, writing in Latin, is generally regarded as one of the first philosophers to use conscientia in a way that began to resemble our modern understanding of consciousness, moving away from its purely moral connotation, his precise meaning was never explicitly defined. In his search after truth, he said the word with a clarifying gloss, conscientia, vel interno testimonio, which can be translated as, conscience, or internal testimony. This suggests a knowledge not just of actions, but of the very value and nature of one's own thoughts. It was a move inward, a recognition of the subjective quality of experience. The scholar Timothy M. Harrison has beautifully illuminated how this subtle, yet profound, shift from conscience to consciousness during the 17th century was, in part, facilitated through the rich and evocative poetry of John Milton, a testament to the power of language to shape our conceptual landscape. The true origin of the modern concept of consciousness, as we largely understand it today, is often attributed to the brilliant mind of John Locke. In his profoundly influential work, An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, published in 1690, Locke offered a definition that resonated deeply and shaped subsequent philosophical thought. He defined consciousness as the perception of what passes in a man's own mind. Take a moment to truly absorb that. It is the act of perceiving, of being aware of, the internal movements of your own thoughts, feelings, and sensations. It is the quiet observation of your own mental landscape. This powerful and clear definition became a cornerstone of 18th-century British philosophy and was even enshrined in Samuel Johnson's celebrated dictionary in 1755, solidifying its place in the intellectual discourse of the era. Across the Channel, the French term conscience also evolved, and in the 1753 volume of Diderot and d'Alembert's monumental encyclopedia, it was defined much like the English consciousness, as the opinion or internal feeling that we ourselves have from what we do. Again, the emphasis is on the subjective, internal experience of one's own actions and their accompanying feelings. Despite this rich historical lineage and the profound insights offered by thinkers like Locke, the problem of definition remains a gentle hum in the background of our inquiry. Scholars continue to debate, for example, whether the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, with all his vast wisdom, truly possessed a concept of consciousness similar to our own. He didn't use a single word or terminology that clearly aligns with Locke's definition. Victor Caston, a contemporary scholar, suggests that Aristotle's concept was perhaps more closely aligned with what we understand as perception, the faculty of apprehending through the senses, rather than the deeper, self-aware, inner life, that consciousness implies for us. Modern dictionary definitions of the word consciousness, which have themselves evolved over several centuries, beautifully reflect this ongoing complexity. They capture a range of seemingly related meanings, yet they also reveal subtle differences that have sparked considerable debate. For instance, there's the distinction between inward awareness, that private realm of thought and feeling, and the perception of the physical world outside ourselves. Are these two aspects of the same thing, or fundamentally different? Then there's the crucial distinction between conscious and unconscious states, the bright light of awareness versus the vast, hidden depths of our mental processing. And finally, perhaps most profoundly, there's the notion of a mental entity or mental activity that is distinctly not physical. This last point opens the door to some of the deepest philosophical questions we can ask about our nature. To offer a clearer snapshot, let's consider the common usage definitions of consciousness as presented in Webster's Third New International Dictionary in 1966. It describes consciousness as awareness or perception of an inward psychological or spiritual fact. Imagine that for a moment, the direct, immediate grasp of something that exists within your own psyche, whether it be a thought, an emotion, a memory, or a sense of self. It speaks of an intuitively perceived knowledge of some. The definition, in our provided text, unfortunately truncates here, but the essence is clear. It points to an immediate, non-inferential understanding of an internal reality. This immediately brings us to a foundational debate in the philosophy of mind, the relationship between the mental and the physical. If consciousness is not physical, as one definition suggests, then how does it interact with our physical brains and bodies? This is the heart of what's known as the mind-body problem. One prominent philosophical stance is dualism, often associated with Descartes. It proposes that the mind and the body are two fundamentally distinct substances. Your body is a physical machine, subject to the laws of physics, extended in space. But your mind, your consciousness, is a non-physical substance, a thinking thing, without extension. How these two separate realms interact, how a non-physical thought can cause a physical action, or how a physical sensation can become a conscious experience, remains a profound puzzle for dualists. It evokes a sense of wonder at the very possibility of such an interaction, like two entirely different languages speaking to each other across an invisible divide. In contrast, monism proposes that reality is ultimately made of only one kind of substance. Physicalism, a widely held form of monism, suggests that everything, including consciousness, is ultimately physical. On this view, consciousness is what the brain does. It's an emergent property of complex neural networks, a sophisticated pattern of information processing. For physicalists, the challenge isn't how mind and body interact, but rather how physical processes can give rise to subjective experience, the what it's like aspect of consciousness. This what it's like is often referred to as qualia. What does it feel like to see the color blue, to taste chocolate, to experience a pang of sadness? These subjective, qualitative properties of experience are at the core of what philosopher David Chalmers termed the hard problem of consciousness. The easy problems are about explaining cognitive functions, how the brain processes information, how it retrieves memories, how it generates motor commands. But the hard problem asks, why do these processes feel like anything at all? Why isn't it all just dark computation without any inner light of experience? This question invites us to a state of quiet contemplation, realizing that even if we could perfectly map every neural firing, we might still be left wondering about the subjective felt quality of that firing. Scientists, in their quest, are diligently searching for the neural correlates of consciousness, NCCs. These are the minimal neuronal mechanisms jointly sufficient for any one specific conscious experience. In essence, they are trying to pinpoint which specific brain activities are invariably present whenever a particular conscious experience occurs. When you see a red apple, what specific patterns of electrical and chemical activity are happening in your brain that are unique to seeing red and not just to processing information about a round object? This endeavor brings us closer to understanding consciousness as a mental state, mental event, or mental process of the brain, as our initial definition suggested. It's a quest to bridge the gap between the objective activity of neurons and the subjective experience of being. One of the most evocative metaphors for consciousness comes from the great psychologist William James. He described it not as a chain of discrete thoughts, but as a stream of consciousness. Imagine a gently flowing river, never still, always changing, yet maintaining its identity. Our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions flow continuously, blending into one another, never truly identical from moment to moment, yet forming a cohesive, ongoing sense of self. This stream is personal, unique to each individual. It's always changing, never quite the same from one instant to the next. It's a beautifully fluid image, one that invites us to simply observe the gentle current of our own inner experience without judgment, allowing thoughts to drift by like leaves on the water. This brings us back to self-awareness and metacognition, the awareness of awareness. It's the capacity not just to have a thought, but to reflect on that thought. To wonder, why did I think that, or how am I feeling about this feeling? It's a uniquely human capacity, allowing us to scrutinize our own mental processes, to learn from them, to shape our character, and to navigate the complexities of our inner and outer worlds. This deep reflection is a quiet, powerful act, a testament to the sophistication of our conscious minds. Yet, this conscious mind, as profound as it is merely the surface of our mental activity. Beneath the gentle current of our awareness lies a vast, intricate ocean of unconscious processes. These are the silent, unseen mechanisms that regulate our breathing, pump our blood, digest our food, and even influence our thoughts, emotions, and decisions without our direct awareness. They are the hidden currents that guide the stream of consciousness. Our conscious awareness, then, might be akin to the tip of an iceberg, with the vast majority of our mental life operating beneath the surface, ensuring our survival and shaping our experiences in ways we rarely fully comprehend. From an evolutionary perspective, why did consciousness emerge? What purpose did it serve in the long, slow march of life? Perhaps it allowed for greater flexibility in problem solving, enabling creatures to plan, to simulate future scenarios, and to adapt to novel situations with greater ingenuity. It might have played a crucial role in social interaction, allowing us to understand the minds of others, to empathize, and to cooperate more effectively. Consciousness, then, could be seen as a powerful tool for survival, a radiant light that helped our ancestors navigate a complex and often perilous world. But above all, consciousness remains profoundly subjective. No one else can ever truly know what it feels like to be you. To experience your unique blend of memories, your particular way of seeing the world, your specific shade of feeling. It is this inherent subjectivity that makes consciousness such a personal and intimate mystery. It is your window to the world, your inner universe. And in this uniqueness lies a quiet wonder, a profound affirmation of your individual existence. So, as we bring our gentle exploration to a close for tonight, let us rest in this sense of wonder. Consciousness, with all its definitions, its history, its scientific pursuits, and its philosophical depths, remains a profound and beautiful mystery. It is the very essence of your being, the light by which you experience life. As you prepare for sleep, allow these thoughts to simply drift, like clouds across a vast, peaceful sky. There is no need to grasp or analyze. Just let the gentle current of these ideas flow through your mind, perhaps sparking a dream, or simply softening the edges of your awareness as you transition into a restful slumber. May your consciousness, in its quiet retreat, find peace and renewal. Drift now into the soft embrace of the night. Good night, dear listener. Sleep well.